Rebbe says you are the real light from the east. The new man is the real light from the east and will return untouched. Of course, the U-turn that is light can never be harmed, drowned, lost, or burnt. In the light of the foregoing statement, what do you say of your confrontations with the dark forces? And the grand conflict that is brewing between you and the masters, the past masters, gurus, savants, and elevated or enlightened persons who are on the astral. So, what do you say about this? You return untouched, yet you have this, what I call them, psychological worries at times because of no means, or I don't know what to say. So it really means. So what do you say, Dan?
So the idea here is the confrontation brewing. Charles, is that it?
Rebbe says, you will go back untouched. And I remember that you always tell us about the horrific fights you have with this negative forces, hurling thunder at you, pelting you with streams of light on the rear side. So, what do you say about this idea of being untouched, and then with this conflict brewing at the same time?
Well, I've had a lot of help, Charles. Yes, the boys helped a lot. We all need help, even on the real side, because we become distorted. It's not that we can be hurt at all, but we become distorted. And yes, kind of like when you have a pot of potatoes and you're on the phone or computer and you forget about them, they're boiling over. Yes, things get a little messy, but it can be cleaned up. Yes, it can be cleaned up. So I know Rebazar says a lot of things. And yes, you know what's interesting, Charles, about the confrontation with the so-called dark forces, okay? Because it's all the same thing in creation, dark light, whatever, in creation, because it's the secondary light we're dealing with here. It really is. The true light, life is, actually isn't light at all, but it reflects as light, as a true light. But the real part of life is invisible. There's always something behind everything. And so that's the interesting part. You might say that's the true secret of the is, to see that, you know, even more so than the light itself that's presented. What is it? What is the intent, the invisible intent of the isness? You see? So how far can we go with this? Yeah, but it's a choice that each individual makes. So yeah, the confrontation itself, the interesting part is that, you know, the Callum God and the influence, and Joni and others, have tried to scare me off through the years because they see what's coming. In the beginning here, you might say, of course, they see what's happening. This is what they do to each person that starts the new year. They're going to, you know, and today we have subliminals all over the place. Most people do not realize that they, for the most part, they don't even have an original thought. It's all subliminal that they're working off of. And until they face up to that, they're not going to get out of the matrix or the creation. Because again, it's not because I say so. It's because they keep deciding. You see, it's not up to me. I'm just giving an observation, seeing if they will tempt themselves to do so. But as all these forces and individuals are really individuals is what they are. Okay, the so-called Kalam God, he's just like, he's a person, and he's just doing funny things, and he's made the choice. The influence is something created, like the Supreme Deceptor, out of the consciousness. That becomes a difference, and it's automatic for what it does, because the overall consciousness basically decides what the influence does, you see? And this is where, as there is a real awareness with the created consciousness involved, then the influence, the application of the influence becomes different. But in the meantime, okay, so in the meantime, yeah, they've done all these things to me, attacked me, and I was in the hospital for several times because it affects the physical body too. But the thing is that when they do this, they have a huge debt all of a sudden. So it's kind of like they go into their own little prison and they're restricted, like a person, like a bank robber that's robbed banks and used guns and whatever. All of a sudden, the authorities catch him and he goes into prison. Well, he can't do the same thing there. You see, he's restricted. And so because what they've done to me, every time they do something, and see, they're wising up. This is why, like in the old Bible and that, you see the lightning bolts were thrown by God and whatever. Well, the gods don't do that anymore because they got to pay for it. They don't get away with anything. That's retribution. That's karma to them. After a while, they realize, like, oops, now I got to go in myself for 1,000 years because I threw that lightning bolt and it hurt a lot of people. Well, they got to pay too. They all got to pay. Each individual, they've chosen their position. So they got to pay. When they hit me, they got to pay big time. It's multiplied. It's like the Richter scale, you see? And so this becomes very interesting too. So it becomes less and less. After a while, they just have attitudes, like Joni, She just gets upset. But she doesn't try to do anything anymore because, it'll just involve her. It's kind of like here. If she wanted to get rid of me and kidnap me and take me someplace, well, the police are going to come after her and arrest her. So she's not going to do that. So what she's going to do is she's going to get her lawyers after me and send little subpoenas or something like that, or notices. She's going to do it that way. She's not going to do it physical harm because she knows that she's in danger. And especially on the real side, it's all automatic. And this is just how it is. So, yes, things are very interesting. So I myself have become more aware of these things to deal with them. This is the best part for all of us. And this is what becoming more aware is that this is the advantage everyone has, to where you're not the effect of these things anymore. You're not being tap-lined in the astral body, etc. Everybody is. I even have some that I have to deal with now and then, etc. They come and go, etc. So we all have to deal with it in creation. And lots of times it's taking on the karma or positions, etc., or having experience, whatever. But everybody has to deal with it. But most people pretend, oh, they don't, or that's just illusion. Well, it's just very, very real. And it sucks you down, and the more agreement there is. But basically the world is so agreeable to their unconscious demise that they're all so heavily tap-lined, because this is the world today. Again, you look at all the agencies, you look at everything that's prominent. You look at the entertainment industry and just everything. The job market, the business world, it's all tap-line. It's all possession is what it is. Being possessed and possessing others is really what it is. But they market it to look really cute. So, yeah, these confrontations are very interesting. And yeah, it's hell and high water. And this is where when people first come up and do the new you, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I had these strange, awful experiences. Well, those who are holding you with their tap lines and possession, they don't want to let you go. So they're going to put up a little fuss. Yeah, so you got to get through that too. It's like escaping out of prison, like somebody captured you and tied you up. Now you got to figure out how to get away. But after a while, you're sitting in the chair. It's like, oh, this isn't so bad. I'll just go with it and just be tied up. And this is how most people are. They just don't see how tied up they are. So, yeah, but after a while, these confrontations, they're not going to stop, but they know that they got to deal with it. Yes, they do have some awareness about them. They know what's going on. So after a while, they just kind of leave you alone because it's like, oh, you can't touch him. You see? That's the fun part. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, this would sound uh, like a stupid question. This is just out of curiosity that I want to know. Now, Duane, you love the adventure and like to take the risk. What I want to find out is, do you sometimes fear? And what is the greatest fear that you have faced thus far?
I don't know if one fear is greater than another, but, I scare myself too all the time. Yeah, these bodies react. But it's not me, it's the bodies that I contain. When you're outside the body, you don't have that. You say when you're in a pure body, you don't have that. But while in the body, there's a reaction to many things. Sometimes I'm riding my bike down the street and all of a sudden somebody comes around the corner on their bike or a car and I slam on my brakes on the bike, and it's a little bit of shock to the body because again, it has its own nervous system, and it's basically on automatic. It's an automatic thing that we've grown up with, and we have all these subliminals also, these little areas, just like all the stuff we have in our computer. We have all these little alerts and cookies and whatever, a lot of things that we don't even see. There's so much stuff there, and there's so much about ourselves. And so this is up to each person to decide, because all we're doing is providing an opportunity here with the references to take a look at themselves through the personal self, and also decide to recognize their real awareness and go from there. But it's I go through the same things everybody else does too. I have doubts, I have fears and whatever. These are part of the personal self, etc. I get frustrations, etc. Yeah, but I don't see them as oh gee, if you told this to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever, or even your doctor, they're going to recommend some sedatives or whatever. Or do you have, older people get discouraged and depressed because all of a sudden they're starting to see the end of the road and they don't see anything else. So, this is one of the things that the medical authorities bring up. It's like, okay, well, we have drugs for you, or you will get you a place to go play bingo or whatever, just to keep you busy, so you can get set up for your next lifetime and just do it all over again. So, realistically, yes. And I feel pain. I get hurt. I've got scars on me from bruises, from, like Claudia does sometimes when what we're doing, wakes up, got bruises on our arms because things happen during the night and affects the physical body. Certain things do. And even out here from my bike, surfing, whatever. Yeah, I go through what everybody else does because you got this vehicle. It's just like a car. You got that brand new car. It's like when the baby is born, oh, they're cuties. They got that brand new vehicle. But, after a while, boy, it takes a lot of, it gets dirty here and there. There's dirt under the seats and that you can't see. You try and clean it the best you can, but it's got some dents and scratches, and the pain is dulling. And, it's like the physical body. It's a funny thing. But the best part is that now you know about your real awareness, and you can start to focus there. And you can supersede the bodies with your awareness. See? So, yeah, I go through just what you do, Charles, when you're tired or whatever. So I take little naps, okay? A lot of people are resistant to that, thinking that, oh, I'm lazy or whatever. But, 1 or 2 naps during the daytime really help, focus things. So I just try to be my best with what I'm presenting because this is my love affair. And I see it as very important. And again, the best part is for those people that, like yourself, that show up. Because, see, everything reflects. We reflect each other. And when we start to recognize this within each other, that's the best part. We become more aware and we free ourselves from all this silly stuff. We don't need the 5 bodies anymore, okay? These are just elementary stuff. They're all vulnerable. Okay? You want to live in a vulnerable body forever, or in a pure body where you're not the effect of anything. But again, while I'm here at this stage, yes, I too, I just do the best I can. Sometimes I got to hide, so I protect myself, whatever it takes, so that I can just do this, so that you and I can come here on Saturdays.
There is this paradox, and it's that the U-turn, the free being of pure light that we all are, is self-sufficient, needing nothing from anyone, to be itself and shine like the golden sun. Yet it is shackled by wants, worries, and literally goes bowl in hand, and other scenarios unbefitting of its exalted state. So, what can you say about this, Duane?
That's a nice idea, isn't it, Charles? So it took a few minutes to see this, and that is that, yes, here's where we start off, like you asked about the literal part of ourselves, and it's very important, but that just gives us the idea. Again, it's like a set of blueprints. It's not the building, it's just an idea. And so this is where the individual, now that they know this, okay, it provides the idea of a possibility. It's not like, oh, gee, I'm soul. Okay, everything's fine now. I'm soul. I know that I'm soul. That's kind of duh, really. It's like, no, that's not it. That's like having the building plans to your house and saying, oh, I've got a house. I've got a house. No, you don't. You got the plans. You don't have the house. You got to build a house. So the idea here is that now that you have the idea that you are a free being of real light or pure light, okay, now that you have that, you're already that, yes. Now it's up to you through the little self to recognize that. That becomes the difference. It's like, oh, you mean I have to do something? Well, gee, won't the master do that for me? Won't he take care of that? I don't know, will he? Is he going to work your 9-to-5 job too? Okay, he's got to do that too. Anything else? So, yes, Charles, you notice that, and I see this within you and others, that as you're going through this process, okay, with asking these questions and whatever, you're waking up little by little to, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it was in the beginning, right? Yes. I'm trying to keep you awake here, Charles. Are you okay?
Sorry?
You don't have to apologize for yourself. It's okay. Yes, did you hear that? Did anybody hear that?
Okay. Then I think you hear everything.
I'll repeat it, Charles. Are you ready? Very briefly, and that is that yes, you are this free being of real light, but it's up to you to start the journey to recognize that. It ain't going to be recognized for you. None of it is. Not 1 ounce. Look at yourself. Just take a moment. Just stop thinking and just be aware of yourself. And you don't have to see the other 5 bodies. You have the faculties and how they relate. All of that you know and even can't see, Take a look. What's there? What do you see? What do you recognize? And what I asked you was, from the time that you stepped into this, that you stepped up, to now, it's not what you thought it was, is it? It's a lot more, isn't it?